Not just yet. Okay, now we are recording.
All right, we're live. Guys, what's up? I'm Rob Shoecraft with Three Storm Fitness, and I have today joining me with Google Meet is Kyle Risley. Kyle is the owner and operator and creator of Liftvault, liftvault.com, which I'll put a link to down in the description. Make sure you check that out. I'll also put a link to a video that I did a couple weeks ago on Liftvault. I found Liftvault and eventually introduced myself to Kyle. We've been talking for a few weeks now, probably a few months, really.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Super cool guy. I as soon as I started exchanging emails with him, I wanted to have him on the channel and just ask him questions about Liftvault and about training. And honestly, he's an SEO, and that's something that I really love. I know that a lot of people on this channel probably aren't too interested in search engine optimization, but I am, and it's my channel. But anyways, Liftvault is an amazing resource. If you're looking for a program, some fresh ideas, just a great website with tons and tons of content, and he's curating it constantly. He's always growing it. So I really want to thank you, Kyle, for coming on and meeting with me today. Really appreciate it. And yeah, why don't we get started?
Cool. So, yeah, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, buddy. So, you know, I sent Kyle a list of some things we want to talk about, and we might kind of go off. You guys know me. I'm always going off on tangents. Kyle, you're welcome to go off on tangents as well.
All right.
Kind of my thing. So I want to start with just a quick introduction to Liftvault. I covered it a lot on the video I made. Again, I'll link to that. But just wanted if you could talk about like.
Sorry.
No, man, do it.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I'll tell you about this in a second.
Yeah, no problem.
This out.
I'll just kind of dance for a minute.
Hi, this is Kyle. I'm good. How are you?
I don't want to distract. I might start talking right now, but probably an important phone call.
Great. And you guys close at 5 today? Okay, great. I'll come before then. Thank you very much. Bye. I knew that I knew that was going to happen.
It's all good, man. It's real life.
I drive a Corolla, and there's a huge airbag recall, and I finally took it in to get it done after like putting it off for probably about a year, probably. So
I left about 20. Probably shouldn't say this, but I left about 20 recalls on my Sequoia before I sold it, traded it in. So yeah, they inherited a lot of problems.
Airbag felt important, but
yeah, it's probably pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wear a helmet, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
They wear a face mask or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we can restart. I think you were basically teeing up like how did Liftvault start?
How to start, you know, what's it about, you know, all that stuff. Icebreaker.
Absolutely, yeah. So I started Liftvault the summer of 2016. At that point, that was my first powerlifting meet was August 2016. So I'd been training, you know, for a little over a year, maybe 2 years or so. And I, like so many other people, found myself on Reddit on like our powerlifting or weight room, and was trying to figure out like, all right, I did starting strength. I did strong lifts. I'm looking at like where do I go from here? And there was good advice. I found spreadsheets and stuff, but it was all pretty scattered. And at the same time, I'd had a desire to start some kind of website. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm interested in lifting. I've identified what I thought to be a reasonable problem, which is that the spreadsheets are sort of all over. There's a lot of good free advice, but it's not organized well. So I was like, okay, I'll just take all the spreadsheets, I'll organize them, I'll try to provide whatever amount of information that I can, that I think is, accurate and useful, and so to sort of annotate the programs. And so that's how it got started. I think it started getting traffic around like September 2016. So that's when people started to go to it. And for the first several years, it was like a pretty niche site where people knew about it on different on Reddit, and people in the powerlifting community. A lot of the programs on there are kind of tailored toward powerlifting. But I started to add more content, and the site really started to take off in 2019. And that's when it started to get a little more attention. More people started finding the site. And frankly, people were finding the site on broader keywords that weren't just powerlifting programs. They were finding it for stuff like 6-day PPL or 4-day split, which are starting to get into broader, less specific intent. And so non-powerlifting people were starting to find it. And that was, I think, when the user base of the site started to grow. So I just ran some of the stats in anticipation of this conversation. And I think last year, the user base grew about like 190% year over year.
Wow.
And I ran that for this last August, and it's up 80% over last August, which I'm pretty happy with, given COVID and everything. Definitely was a huge COVID dip in March, but around June, things kind of started to pick up. I think like 70-ish% of the site is US. There's like a pretty massive non-US contingent, which is great. I love that. I think that's
really where any place in particular, or just a mix?
It's a pretty broad mix. A lot of Canada and UK, but also like Sweden and Norway, Australia for sure. Yeah. Decent amount in Japan. Yeah, so it was definitely not what I was expecting. But I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting it to rank for like like GZCL spreadsheets and stuff like that, and or like
he's got a million GZCL spreadsheets on there, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually, so I was watching your video, and you were like, "All right, let's open like this post up," and I was like, "Oh God, that post."
Sorry, dude.
I was like, "It's a disaster." I kind of wanted to make it just this huge colossal thing, and I think I succeeded in that, but I think I also succeeded in making it basically like completely unusable. It's really not a friendly page. I should break it up probably. And
it's not, by the way, unusable, man. I pulled my wife's running GZCL right now off of the spreadsheet that you had on your site. So
cool. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad she was able to find something useful on. It's just like I try to put it at the top, but like if you keep scrolling, it just kind of gets like messier and messier as it goes. But
she's up to pulling. She's pulling 200 right now with for 5 sets of 3. She's
awesome.
Yeah, she's making some good progress. That's a solid program, man. I'm sorry to waylay here, but I like that. It's really not a program, really. It's more of just a template,
a framework,
framework, which was really, in my opinion, the way to go as a trainer. I think I mentioned this to you when we were talking on the phone the other day. Like, I'd say every other day, sometimes every single workout, I got to tweak something in somebody's workout, whether it's a rep scheme or just a completely different exercise selection altogether. So I do like that about Cody Lefevre, right? That's who put that together. I do like that about what Cody did. It's just, it leaves so much gives you the framework, and you can kind of plug and chug as you need to, which really is, in my opinion, how once you get going and once you get the feel for what you're doing in the weight room, having that flexibility is really it's really the only way. I mean, once you get to a certain point. So yeah. I like that a lot. Big fan of that stuff.
Yeah, Cody's great. He's put out a lot of really high quality information and resources. So definitely want to give a shout out to him. He's sent me like one spreadsheet a couple years ago that he was like, this is kind of like in a beta form, but if you want to share it, you can go do that. So that was really cool. So thank you, Cody, for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody.
Yeah,
man. So it's growing. So you're getting a lot of new traffic, and it's man, I mean, it's I've just noticed, I'm Googling stuff all the time, and I've noticed just more and more I'm seeing you in the rankings. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, the site tends to do pretty well in Google. I think that's just because I'm giving people what they want. So it's kind of straightforward, but I was really excited that you highlighted the search, like the program finder tool.
Oh yeah,
in your video. I built that last summer. It took me not like a ton of time, but I think it probably took me like maybe around two weeks or so to kind of put all that together and tag everything. And people use it a lot, but it didn't make the splash, I guess, that I was kind of expecting it to. Like I thought it was going to get like referenced more and people would be talking about it. I don't know why, but so I was really excited that you did. And like I said, people do use it, and I can see that the people that do use it are like going really deep into the site. They're really looking at a ton of stuff. So I think it's working, and I think it does what it's supposed to do. But yeah, for a while I was like, okay, well, I think it's really cool. I think it's good. I'm going to leave it up. And then it broke in like March, and people emailed me like, hey, it's broken. So I'm like, okay, people are paying attention. They're like looking for it.
You were just making sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I broke it purposefully. Yeah.
Dude, your program finding tool is, I mean, I'm glad that you're getting traffic from, sounds like a lot of direct searches and probably, I'm assuming direct links from, communities like Reddit and stuff, but your program finder is, I mean, you said it's not making a big splash. It might be a slow burner. I mean, it's a great tool. Like if you guys are looking for a program or a template or whatever, new training methodology, you want to see what's out there. I mean, first of all, how many different spreadsheets do you have on your site?
I should know this, and I honestly, I don't know for sure, but if I were to estimate, it's probably about 150. It's
150?
It's probably around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to, I'm sure Kyle wouldn't mind if you go and browse all 150 of them. But if you want to just narrow down the ones you're looking for, it's a real objective way to filter the programs and templates. I mean, go check that video out if you want to see. But I mean, you could go through by whether it is you want to improve your bench, whether you're preparing for a meet, you're trying to peak. How often you want to squat per week, how many days a week you could train, all sorts of different, I guess, metadata that you can filter by. And it's just a fantastic tool. And the whole reason I even found your site in the first place, because I was looking to make sure that tool didn't exist because I was going to build it. But when I saw that Kyle was doing it, he was doing it really well. It was kind of like if you can't beat him, join him sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's when you emailed me and you're like, hey, man, I think this tool's really cool. And, you were putting together some of the spreadsheets to share with some of your readers. So that was funny. You're like, I wanted to do this and you already did. So that felt like that was some nice validation. I won't lie.
All right, man. Well, I'm happy to give it. Thanks for making it. So are there any, I want to ask you, since you're you're an SEO guy, and you're, I'm sure, big in the analytics and what's trending and that sort of thing. Just it sounds like you have the traffic to be able to give a pretty good perspective on we could say the training climate industry, or whatever you want to call it, as a whole. What have you noticed is trending? What's going up? What's going in? What programs are people? What are the popular ones? What are the ones that are kind of losing steam, so to speak?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I do not look at traffic by sort of like all the ways that I split up programs on the program finder. I don't really do the same thing when I'm looking at traffic. I think that'd be really interesting. So I'm not looking at like, are like 3-day programs becoming less popular, people starting to like train more frequently or less frequently, stuff like that. But in terms of just like which programs people are looking at and downloading, yeah, absolutely, I have all that stuff. And right now, and this has been, I would say there is not a ton of fluctuation year to year. As long as I've been running the site, the programs have been relatively steady. So Nsuns is just number one. I think it was number two maybe in 2018 or 2019 to like 531. And now Nsuns is on top, and then it's like 531. The Calgary Barbell, the 8-week and 16-week programs are extremely popular. It's sort of the ones you'd expect. I don't think it's like there aren't like programs that no one's heard of that are secretly popular or anything like that. But I have all of I have them up right here. So I'm just waiting for the page to load so I can give an accurate shout out. So yeah, Strong Curves is massively popular, kind of a different audience than some of the
that's Brett Contreras, right?
Yeah, that's his program.
That spreadsheet's I know you didn't like make the spreadsheet, but that's one of the, like, as far as like, I would say like a beginner level, you know, somebody who likes to have pictures and it's a pretty spreadsheet. Actually, my wife ran that one as well.
Oh, cool.
And she's like, when I put her on the GZCL program, she was like, "Oh, this doesn't have any pictures."
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
honey.
interesting. Yeah, I there are some spreadsheets that, yeah, they try to be more of like a holistic resource. Like they include links to videos for different movements, so it's like how to perform each movement and stuff like that. And frankly, you know, that's good, I suppose, but
yeah, it's value added. Yeah,
I think it's kind of like a marginal value add, because you can, if you're already on your phone and you're in the gym, like you can just go to Google and type in like how to Romanian deadlift or whatever you're trying to do. But I get all sorts of questions, and one thing I've learned is that the more you can make things like super obvious, the better.
yeah, people don't like to think or look for things.
No.
You know, because I'll give people programs and stuff, and I mean, I love all my clients. So if any of you guys are watching, actually, I just had my last training session last week. It's a whole other thing, but I guess I sort of take for granted, you know, being from an IT background where you have to like pretty much research everything you do and just keep going till you can't anymore. And I've been, you know, I got started in lifting from cruisinbodybuilding.com forums back in the early 2000s, and just like, oh, what's this? And I'm trying to figure that stuff out. I guess folks just don't have that kind of self research, I don't want to say drive, you know, I don't want to sell anybody short, but
I think there's a lot of doubt.
Yeah, there's doubt. Am I doing this right? Especially when you're doing it in front of somebody else in a gym. You're like, are they going to judge me? You know, that kind of stuff. And
yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of self-doubt. I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of expectation that basic levels of strength and fitness are complicated, and they're really not. So a complete novice might think it's really important to be paying attention to, you know, rest times in between sets, or you know, should I use a true 1-rep max or like a training max in a novice program? And there might be some optimal answers to some of those questions, especially if the person who created the program has a preference. You should probably follow that preference if you can, if you're aware of it. But it's like, if you're resting like 2 minutes, or if you're resting like, you're taking a long rest and you're resting like 7 minutes in between sets, like, and you're getting started, it's probably not really going to make a big difference in the overall outcome. And that's kind of how I know that someone is, someone's pretty experienced, is if they're not trying to make it fitness or strength seem mystical or confusing. They're like, look, just like go in 3 days a week, just do these 3 lifts, and you'll get pretty strong, and don't really worry about it. And just try to add weight, each training session, or if you can't do that, then go to week. And then if you can't do that, then go to month. And I think it might be that week to month jump, like when you can no longer run a linear weekly program. I think that's where I got off track personally. And I think that might be where a lot of people get off track. But I think it's what Johnny Payne, I think he's the one who wrote that article about like the intermediate syndrome, about how everyone's really excited to, like, they're trying to rush and becoming an intermediate lifter. So they're no longer a novice. And then they get into these like needlessly complicated programs, which, frankly, Liftvault might encourage. They're like, oh, like check out Candido, which is a great program. I love Candido. It's a great squat peaking program in particular. But like, if you're still able to make like progress every 3 weeks, like you shouldn't be running these like 6-week cycling programs. Like that's doubling the time that you're going to be, able to make progress. And it probably isn't structuring the training in an optimal way anyway. Like you shouldn't be peaking every 6 weeks, but I was doing that, like, so that's something I'm trying to address. I'm trying to put together a guide eventually that kind of allows you to identify which period you're at, and then like really incrementally advance to the next one, so that you're not picking inappropriate programs.
That's
yeah, we'll see when it gets there.
No, man, I think that's super valuable, and I hope that when you do make it, people use it. I'm confident that you'll create it effectively.
I'll run it past you.
I did it kind of brought up made me think of a question. One thing I was wondering, so one thing that the Kyle has done on Liftvault, especially with this program finder, is you can filter by beginner programs, intermediate, advanced programs. Do you mind speaking to how you classify those? Did you do those based on the author, like what they say, or is it based on like, something else?
Yeah, sure. So when I try to group by skill level, it predominantly is based on how frequently weight is added to the bar. So if it's like weekly or less than weekly, even like more frequently than weekly, then to me that's a novice program. If you're adding weight monthly-ish, that's more intermediate. And if it's more than each month, it's more of an advanced program. I think I'm borrowing that from probably a lot of people. I think I read that on Powerlifting to Win a while ago when I thought that seemed like a reasonable way to classify that stuff. Another part of it is just like, if it has a really broad exercise selection, then I might not think that's super appropriate for beginners, just because that's a lot of movements to master, or at least become proficient at. So I might then say, like, this is more of an intermediate program. There is a pinch of salt that should go with a lot of that stuff. So I frequently will label a program as like intermediate and advanced, because I'm just like, different people feel differently about it. And frankly, it's not super important, that distinction.
Right.
I think beginner is a little more important to, not throw around. I think a lot of beginners are really excited to get on these like big programs and these fancy things, and they don't need to. And I try to emphasize whenever I'm writing about a novice program, I'm like, this is great. This advances super quickly. You will get stronger faster if you run this. Like, please don't get turned off by the word novice. So that is that's the basic way that I did divvy it up. One question you did raise in your video that I wanted to address is there's a recommended filter.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so actually I define all of the filters in another dropdown on that page, which evidently I need to make more prominent because you missed it. But
Well, also my lack of detail is it's one of my.
well, hey,
I'm amazing at skipping over things.
the user is never wrong. So if they're not doing what you want, then you didn't design the system very well. Which
Yeah,
is
fair
why
enough. Shame
which
on
is
me.
why I put that here's how to make a copy thing in every spreadsheet. I used to do it. I got lazy and I stopped. I still get so many requests for making a copy, and a lot of it, there are a lot of people who are, teenagers, that don't work in an office, who don't work in Google Sheets every day, who frankly maybe don't do a lot of, they don't know how to look up stuff for themselves. So I get some questions that are pretty repetitive. But anyway, Liftvault recommended means that it's a program that has been generally run by enough people on the internet and that it's generally accepted that it's reasonably effective. It's not a complete train wreck, something like that.
Gotcha.
And that it has a spreadsheet that is easy to follow.
Okay.
So it's sort of like if you are looking for something that'll most likely work for you, everyone's different, things need to
Sure.
be tailored. But look, you're getting free spreadsheets off the internet. You need to keep in mind that there might be some things in there that aren't appropriate for you. But Liftvault recommended is the spreadsheets that I find to be clean and pretty easy to use, pretty user friendly. Usually have 1 rep max inputs utilized, or there probably might be some RPE ones, but things that people like, 1 rep max inputs, percentages are just easier to work with, even if I won't touch on effectiveness. And then I try to include rounding. Like I said, there's a large contingent of the site's users that are using kilos. So I try to include a rounding feature. If it's easy enough for me to build it into a spreadsheet that I find or is sent to me, then I go ahead and do it. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain to insert it in, and then I might just say like, tough luck.
Hey, multiply this by 2.2, just so you know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, do you have anything on there that I'm sure you get questions? I would love to talk about some of the questions you get because I know some of the questions I get, and by the way, I love all the questions, but sometimes you're just like, what? Like, do you get questions about like how to determine? This would actually be a pretty good one, but do you get a question how to determine? How do I know what my 1 RM is, or how do I know what my 3 RM is? Do you get stuff like that?
I actually don't get a lot of questions around that, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's because 1 rep max calculators are so prevalent. Like a lot of sites have them. I have my own. Some programs have one built in. On super popular programs, I have tried to go back and actually add in 1 rep max input functionality, which usually then includes a calculator, so
Yeah.
that frankly, so that the spreadsheet becomes more user friendly.
Yeah. Well, that's cool,
If
man.
it's not a very popular program, I'm probably not going to go back and do that for it. By the way, just to be clear, I don't make most of the spreadsheets on there. They're either sent to me or I find them. So I do try to clean them up a little bit if I can, but for the most part, they are not made by me. The credit goes to someone else. I will link to them in the post so you know
Yeah,
who it is.
he does give credit where credit's due. So don't
I
hate
do
on it.
try. I think there's 1 or 2 instances where I'm like, I don't remember where I found this, and like I can't go back and find them. Like I don't know where this came from, and it's like if you know who this is, like let me know
Yeah.
because like I don't remember. But I don't get a lot of questions around that. I get sometimes I'll get extremely specific questions with no context. Like they're like, I just got an AMRAP of like 8 reps. Like what do I do? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like what program are you running? So I love when people email me, honestly, it's great. Please do let me know which spreadsheet you're referring to if you find a bug. I get a ton of bugs sent to me, which is so nice. I make so many mistakes when I try to fix things. Half the time, I actually introduce a new bug. So if you're using it and it's not working, let me know. I'll try to fix it. So shout out to everyone who does that for me. Big help. And let me know what you're referring to, because there's a lot of programs on the site and I don't know what you're talking about unless you tell me. So outside of that, it's a lot of like, what do you recommend I should run? Like I'll get like a little bio from them and they're like, what should I do? And I'm just like, sounds like you're untrained. Like, sounds like you should choose from like a beginner program. Like, here's 5 that are pretty good. Like, I made a post for it. Go read this. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, I don't know how you didn't find it, but it's fine. Like I'm a little like little mean about that, like internally. But I'm just like, why didn't you search? But like it's like we
Right.
said, like some people, they would rather just be told what to do.
Get a
And
trainer.
you know, it's fine. You know,
Yeah.
do not let this deter you from emailing me. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. I like helping people, so I will try to help you.
Hey, you helped me, man. So I'll endorse that. You get a lot of people running. How popular is Sheiko, Boris Sheiko's programs?
I think it's a top 10. So the top 10 and we kind of got away from this because we are getting on tangents. So the top 10 for the last month are Nsuns. The 6-week Russian bench press peaking program got really popular on TikTok out of absolutely nowhere. So now that was a top 10 program.
I never heard of it, honestly.
It's like a pretty standard peaking program. It's solid. When everyone started seeing it on TikTok and then seeing it on my site, I did get a flurry of emails where they're just like, this isn't enough volume. They're like, well, like, are you sure this is okay? And I'm like, you're doing like 6 sets of triples at like 95% in week 4. Like, it's enough volume. Like, look at look at the intensity. Like, it's a peaking program. I'm like, are you sure you want a peaking program? Like, you don't just need to peak for fun. Like, I'm like, maybe you want something like Greg Nuckols, 3x intermediate medium volume or medium load is excellent. It's super friendly for running repeatedly. I love it. I recommend it a ton. I've run it with great success. So anyway, people are like, should I be doing accessories? And I'm like, it's a peaking program. Like, you could maybe for the first half, but then you should like probably not really after that. So okay, so that 531 Calgary Barbell PHUL, so PHUL, that's a huge one. PHAT, PHAT.
Pretty hot and
The
pepper.
the 6-day Reddit PPL, that's always popular. Strong curves, and then Greg Nuckols 28 spreadsheets. So Sheiko comes in at number 11, right ahead of GZCL at number 12 for the month of August. But if I look at all of the last year, then Sheiko's in at number 8. So definitely popular. Gets referenced a fair bit from the Sheiko forums, from Reddit. So that's a pretty popular one.
Have you used his app before?
I have not. I've heard good things about the app, which is probably one of the only apps that I've heard a lot of good things for.
Yeah. Isn't it like adapts with you, right? Like,
right, yeah. There's like a training program. There's a training period when it's just like absorbing how you're training and what your loads are and what your volume is and how you're responding to it. And I think after X number of weeks, it's like, okay, like we understand the way you respond to intensity and volume, and we're gonna like go on from there, which, assuming it works, that's insanely cool. I have not used it though.
I got a buddy who's running it right now, and he is in love. I mean, I trained jujitsu with him. I talked to him last night, and he was just going on. He's like, I can't believe I've never done this. Yeah, he's not a noob. I mean, the dude's like, he's about my height. He's about probably 6'3", maybe 310. He pulls like mid 6s, benches mid 4s. He's a beast. And
Yeah.
he's like, I love this program, man. I'm like, yeah, I heard it's pretty sweet. But that's, yeah, I've never done it. I've been, yeah, I've just been making excuses. I got my back.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I hear it's a lot of volume. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I'll just do 3 sets of triples instead. But I've heard like I don't think I've heard anyone running Sheiko and like, not having a good responses.
Yeah, well, he's got quite a resume, so I'm sure it's probably pretty
Yep.
solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you get a lot of requested programs?
Not really. No. Sometimes people will notice when things get removed from the site, and then they'll ask me like, "Oh, like I was using it." I'm like, okay, so if you're using something on the site, make a copy of it. I don't know how I don't know how they were using it, but not being able to put in their own numbers.
Yeah, you
I'm
can't
not,
edit your.
no.
Yeah.
So maybe they were just looking at. I'm not sure, but anyway, if you like something, make a copy. You can actually now on my site, you can um, put in your email address, and I send you a link to the Google Drive folders where there's everything, and then you can one click and download all of Liftvault onto your desktop forever, and you have it. So anyway, so do that if you really love something because it might go away. So I've like I had some stuff from bodybuilding.com that was available for free, but also available behind their paid platform. So it was kind of available in 2 places. I made a spreadsheet based on the free place, and they didn't like that, and they asked me to take it down, so I did. And then people noticed it was gone, and they were like, "Hey, where'd it go?" And I'm like, "It's gone. I'm sorry. You can bodybuilding.com has it."
Yeah, you
That's
don't
about
want
it.
to fight a war with them.
No. I mean, like I mentioned, I think a little bit in our phone call, I've had I think like 2 other requests to take stuff down. One from Ben Pollock and the other from Brian Alsrew, and both times they came right down. Ben's was a free thing a free program that he just wanted people to sign up for, not have it available without a sign up, which is fair. So it came down. And then in Brian's case, the programs actually were not accurate. They were interpretations of his YouTube videos, and whoever made them interpreted them incorrectly. So he's like, this isn't my programming style. This is not good because it reflects poorly on me. And I agreed. I'm like, yeah, this isn't helping anybody. This is bad. So I took those straight down. He let me leave the pages up with his videos so people could check out his videos. And because he put out the content, it was just people were then misinterpreting it. And then I was unwittingly amplifying that misinterpretation. So I'm like, I agree with you. We shouldn't do that. So like, take it down.
Do you think you could take Ben Pollock in a fight?
Absolutely not. No. No. I would not. I would not want to fight either of those people. So they are both way bigger and stronger than I am, as well as smarter. So they're
humble. He's so humble, man.
yeah. So I try to be a good community member. People have on rare occasions. I think most people go to the site, understand what I'm doing, but one person was like, "Yo, I have like all these like paid programs," and I was like, "I don't want those." They're like, "Why not?" And I'm like, I think it was like a teenager, I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, why? Because I'm not a piracy site. That's not what I'm doing here. There's a lot of places you can go do that. This is not
You
one
can
of
go to
them.
Spread or something if you want to get
Yeah.
shady
I'm like,
programs.
go to Google. Google has it all. If you want to pirate, just go there. So this is not the place for you. And they're like, okay. I'm like, but thanks. Thanks, I guess. If you're trying to help me out, I appreciate it. But.
Yeah, I gotcha. Let's see. Any new features you're working on, or any features people have asked and you're like, that's a good idea. I just don't have the time for it.
Yeah. Well, the big one is like if a spreadsheet doesn't have rounding for kilograms, that's a big one. They're like, could you do that? And like, yeah. The other crap, so I used to have a Google form up where I solicited feedback, and then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I took it down, and I don't know if let me see if I have the, okay. I think I actually have the answers right here, because I got a piece of feedback that I thought was really useful, and I was like, that would be a good idea. I'm like, that would be kind of a pain to run, but you're not wrong. Crap. I'm scrolling down like a ton of stuff right now. So, the warm up mobility routines. That's one that
Oh
someone
yeah,
suggested. If there was a tag, that was it. If there was a tag for kilogram compatible programs, so that's one way you could filter.
Oh, okay.
That wouldn't be too hard for me to do. It would take me a little while, but it's not difficult. And then another one is filter by session length, in minutes, which I'm probably never going to do because that's highly variable for
Yeah,
an individual.
that's hard to do. So when I'm not trying to plug myself or anything, but before I found you, I kind of started making, like, I guess we could call it like an alpha stage program finder. And that's one of the things I had in mind was session length.
Mm-hmm.
And I found, that's so hard, especially if you do want to talk about like warm ups. I mean, there's some dudes I know a guy, he's an absolute monster. He doesn't warm up. I have to warm up before I have to warm up to warm up myself. So
Yeah.
everybody's different. So your workout might be, a 30-minute workout might be an hour, so that's.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes it's like how focused you are, and definitely, what's the intensity like that day? That's going to affect your rest times. Like, you can be doing the same program, but week 1 you might be in and out in like 40 minutes, and then like by week 10 it's like an hour and 40 minutes because you're just
Yeah, it's really tough to do that.
So I'm never gonna. Sorry to that person, I'm never gonna do that. But
You thought about doing it by equipment?
oh yeah, so I remember you mentioning that in your video. I thought that was a really cool idea, and I
That's a
don't
tough
have
one too, but
what.
I said that's kind of a tricky one too. You really gotta.
Yeah, so probably not, just because I would expect most of my programs, or most of the programs on the site, are like barbell and dumbbell, more or
Yeah.
less. There's not a ton of conjugate stuff where you need like boards or chains and things like that. But as I broaden it out, like I have no dumbbell programs on there, which I should have had, frankly, for the COVID period. And I think that would have been really helpful. So, if that would be a good filter, like dumbbell only or at home, or things like that.
Yeah.
So maybe, but probably not anytime soon, because I don't think it would apply to most of the stuff, really.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Have you you mentioned shoot, man, you mentioned a few people who you've talked with.
Mhm.
Any name drops, any like fun experiences talking to, you mentioned Ben Pollock and
That was not
Cody
fun.
too.
I don't have fun when people ask me to take stuff down. I feel bad, and
Yeah, that's not the
uh,
greatest one, but
yeah. So no, I know what you mean though. So yeah, the barbell medicine guys.
Oh yeah.
One of them, apologies, I don't recall which person it was specifically. They reached out to me, I think, with I think they either had a spreadsheet that they wanted me to post, or yeah, I think they had like a spreadsheet they wanted me to post. And then the strength athlete, so TSA, one of the people from there, reached out to me as well, with just like saying like, hey, like, um, did like asking me to like just include their program on like one of my lists, which I frankly was like happy to do. I kind of left it off by accident, so I was like, oh yeah, totally, like no problem. Um, and other than that, I've had some people ask me to include programs on the site, which I'm happy to do as long as they're of sufficient quality. and free. That's the other big thing. You were talking about big things, new features. There might be some form of paid programming coming to the site, not from me, but from other folks. And I will I'll leave it at that. But
Yeah, that sounds that's awesome, man.
keep your eyes peeled.
All right.
I'm hoping I can have something up by like January or so. So that's sort of my target. But I've reached out to 0 people about that idea. So I have some work to do. But that's like my next big, like, how to level up the site idea. Is
I
to
have questions, but I'm not going to ask them because I think I feel maybe just a little under the it's on the DL right now, right? Kind of.
Yeah, we can talk offline maybe.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Nothing I want to formally announce. Also, it might not happen, so that would be even more embarrassing.
You got anybody send you any free stuff?
So I have been. So truthfully, I'm starting to run out of popular free spreadsheets I haven't posted already. So to combat that, I've been making spreadsheets for programs that are freely available, but they don't have a spreadsheet. So that's one thing I've been doing, but it's kind of boring. I will plug one spreadsheet that I just posted that I think is really cool. And I actually plan on using it when the time is right for myself. It's a heavy, light, medium template.
Like an undulating, like an undulating periodization kind of model.
A little bit, yeah. So it has pretty much like 3 blocks.
It's block. So it's not heavy, light, medium throughout the week. It's different.
Oh, so yes, it is.
Okay.
And also it has a progression within 3 blocks. I based it on a lot of Andy Baker stuff, which I reference in the article. And why I like it and think it's really cool is you can customize absolutely everything because that heavy, light, medium is really popular. It's really effective. It's a really good way to progress from novice programs into like early intermediate stuff. And right now, like, I'm building up my strength from taking a lot of time off as a result of gyms closing. So I'm actually back on a novice program right now.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I need to do the same.
Yeah, it's the fastest way to progress. So I'm like, all right, like back on novice. Here we go. And then I'm going to progress to heavy, light, medium. So yeah, you have a heavy day, a light day, and a medium day for every lift, but you can change that. So you can say, like, I don't want to do light days for bench press. I want to do 2 mediums, and I want medium to be 10%, 15%, 20% less than the heavy day, which is going to start at 90% or 85. And I want to change the reps. You can change absolutely everything, and it just updates all based on whatever you want. So if you want to do all your heavies on Monday and all your lights on Wednesday, you can do that. But if you're like, I don't want to deadlift heavy and squat heavy on Monday, that sounds terrible, which I agree. So I would probably move my heavy deadlift to Friday, and do maybe like light rows instead on Monday after I squat. So it's super flexible. I think it's easy to use despite all the options that you have at your disposal. You can kind of leave it as is for a really vanilla heavy, light, medium interpretation. But if you want to change any aspect of it, you can. So and I know we talked about this a little bit, like that's kind of the direction that I would like to be going, is spreadsheets that are more flexible, where someone who knows enough about what they want to be able to put it into practice relatively easily. There's a lot of people who don't fit into that category, who don't know what they want, which is fine, and I can relate to that. But for the intermediate level trainer who maybe is progressing on, like, 3-week cycles, and they're just looking for something to run repeatedly, and they don't want to do 5-3-1. I want to try to create something to fill that void.
That's awesome, man. When do you think that's going to be done?
So the heavy, light, medium one is already posted. The version right now is it's basically on like 1 week progressions. So you're progressing every week within the block. There is a 3-week progression that, again, Andy Baker has written a lot about. So I'm going to see if I can read through what he's written and try to put that into practice in a spreadsheet in a way that is, hopefully a faithful interpretation of the sort of the principles he's shared. So definitely want to give a shout out to Andy. Andy also has a lot of done for you programs at very reasonable rates on his site. So if every time I interpret stuff, I have to put a big disclaimer. I'm like, this is an interpretation. I could be completely wrong. I tried not to be completely wrong, but it's still possible. And here's the person if you want to go direct from them. So if you don't trust me, which you shouldn't, you can go right to Andy Baker. He will sell you really good heavy, light, medium programs at fair prices too. So
awesome, man. Well, I mean, I want to be sensitive to your time, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
So I definitely want to give I'm going to give some shout outs. There are some guys on Reddit who are just like beasts at creating spreadsheets. So
yeah, I need to ask you about that. Like your top contributors.
Yeah, bench popper. I think PAU PER popper. Anyway, bench popper. He's created or actually, I should say they. I don't know. They've created a ton of programs that and shared the spreadsheets for them, and it have been pretty successful. Some of them, they're very forthright. They're like, I don't know if this is a good idea, or like, I just did this for fun. It doesn't work for you. And I'm just like, people don't care. People just like, oh, it has a cool name. It's called Megazord. Like, okay. Like,
oh, Megazord. Yeah, I've seen Megazord. They did that one.
Yeah. So they created that one.
It does have a cool name.
I think it's Black Noir. Created a ton of GZCL spreadsheets, which eventually became too complex for Google Sheets to handle, at which point I kind of I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like, call me up if you're ever back on Google Sheets, but like, I'm not gonna put up stuff that you have to download onto your desktop. I like stuff that you can run on your mobile in the gym.
So what is it like? It's a program that runs on like Windows or something?
No, it's just there's some Excel functions that just break in Google Sheets. Like really advanced stuff. I don't know what it is, but whatever, they got to a certain point when it just it didn't work anymore in Google Sheets. So it's Excel only, and I politely backed out at that point. But they created a ton of good stuff and would even like ping me when it was done. So thank you to Black Noir. And in general, the Reddit communities have been really supportive and helpful. So Weight Room is a great community. Powerlifting, good community. Yeah, I started out reading fitness and then I graduated from it. So
their wikis.
The fitness wiki is incredible. Honestly,
it's a great place to start. I've pushed a lot of people toward that who just want like, hey, where do I start? Like, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, man. Just go, go to liftvault.com.
Honestly, no, it's like go to the wiki because it's like it's a distillation of all the best general advice for any of your most common questions, which outside of individual like health and mobility issues that you may have, should basically be your only questions. Outside of your individual capabilities and health situation, if you don't see a question on the wiki, then it's not an important question, and you don't need to worry about it. It's a good thing. Don't worry about It'll be fun.
That's a great tip. And I mean, one of the proudest moments of my life, I'd say it's right around birth of my kids, marriage, all that was I'm on the Wiki. My page is on the Wiki, so that was good.
You're on the Wiki. I'm not on the Wiki.
You'll get on the Wiki, man. You'll get on the fitness Wiki. It's a matter of time.
If you moderate the fitness Wiki, please consider liftvault.com.
Yeah, seriously.
This will be the only time I ask. Otherwise, I will just keep working until I've earned it. Yeah. I don't think I don't think there's anything else that's like super surprising or weird about the site that people wouldn't expect.
You have a mailing list, a subscription or something that people can sign up for to keep tabs on what you got going on? Yeah,
so if you go to the site, at the bottom of every page or most posts, there's a sign up. You will get access to the Google Drive, which will be updated. It is the Google Drive that powers the site, so you will see everything in there. If for whatever reason you just would rather browse through a list of files than go through the site, you're welcome to do that. And you will also get updates periodically when I add new things. I have been branching out. Oh, so you asked about getting stuff for free. I've started to get products sent to me for review because, frankly, I've started to rank for stuff. So manufacturers or distributors see me and they're like, we need to send them stuff so we can be here too. So I'm starting to get like some pre-workouts and protein powders and stuff sent to me for my thoughts. So that's fun. That's cool. I'm not going to lie. It is flattering. I'll probably get tired of it later, but not yet.
Yeah, it's that's one thing, man, that, I made this YouTube channel just for, honestly, kind of just for fun. And that's kind of a side effect I didn't expect. A nice, every now and then, I did that spot grips review a while back, and I got that. I got an iron neck. It's got some cool stuff, man. And
I don't know either.
I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah, sure. It's like, I'll take a look at it, let you know what I think. Yeah. What are those two pieces of equipment? I haven't heard of them. This is not we waited till minute 50 to plug these two. Tell me about them.
So those two in particular. There've been a few more that I've done, and I have so many videos. Sometimes I think I make the same video. Like but anyways, these two particular products, they're probably the two, like, I'd say, most expensive products that I've been, given to review. Spot grips is a really slick. They're both real niche kind of pieces of equipment. Spot grips is nice. It's really made for dumbbells, but you can use it for barbells too. I'll link to the review of both of these. So if you want to continue to hear me talk for another hour. But spot grips is nice. So if you're doing, like, let's say, dumbbell overhead presses, right? And you got to clean them first, and you got to sit down with them, or have somebody hand it to you. However you do it. You could just set these up. It's like it's almost like a heavy duty seatbelt type material with this big literal 10-pound. Each of them is 10 pounds, and they get these big oversized hooks where you rest the dumbbell in, and then you adjust it to the starting height. So you can sit down, start your set, release it, come down, hit it, and when you're done, release it where you want it. Or if you have to bomb out, just let it go, and it just hangs there.
So do they hang from a power rack?
Yeah, you just hang it from like a power rack pull-up bar. They work real well. I've tested the crap out of them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're slick. And the Iron Neck is the name. It's a pretty good name. It's like this giant halo you wear. And you attach it to typically resistance bands. So you could attach it to like a Selector X cable machine if you wanted to, but you step out and you can do a lot of unique rotational exercises for your neck, and it's a pretty slick product. So I was happy with both of those. Still use them both.
That's cool. You'll have to send that to Josh Bryant. He's all about training the neck.
Yeah, dude. Well, training the neck, man, it's super important. We do my jujitsu class. We do yes nos. And no one likes them except for me. But yeah, man, it's super important to protect your neck. Wu
Yeah,
Tang,
especially if
Wu
you're
Tang Clan knows what's up.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're doing like fighting, any high contact sport.
Yeah, anything where you're taking headshots. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
sweet. Well, I think that's all the good stuff I have to share. So I'm gonna start rambling after this. So
Yeah, me too. Well, dude, that
cool.
was all very good stuff, and I really appreciate it, man. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I will eventually. I think I got to go through about. Man, I got about 2,000 comments backlog, and it's killing me. It's just driving in the back of my head. I got to get
Are you
on there.
serious?
Well, yeah.
Wow, that's a
I
lot of comments.
I am so. I hate giving excuses, man, but I completely rearranged my life recently. And
In,
I'm just.
in a good way or not?
Yeah,
Not.
it's been really
Oh,
good, but like
okay.
I went back into the full time. I went back into IT.
Oh, right. Yeah, new job. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm running a school district IT department, and it. I guess like most folks, I'm a creature of routine, and my routine completely got flipped.
Yep.
My workouts have been. I haven't made a YouTube video. This is my first YouTube video in a couple weeks, and part of that is because I'm like ashamed of how little I've been working out lately, and I feel like a hypocrite coming on a fitness channel and
And
giving
that's why
advice.
you had me on. So you're like, let's get skinny Kyle
Yeah,
on.
well, I mean, it does make me feel good, but yeah, I got a bunch of comments, and normally when I do my like when I'll have like every if somebody comments and I'm in a place where I can comment back, I'll just do it right then and there. But most of the time, I like batch them. So every 2 weeks, I'll sit down and just go through them,
Yeah.
and I haven't in like a couple months, and I've seen every comment that's come through. And if it was, I love it. Please keep doing it. I'm so sorry that I haven't got back to you yet. I will. I know I've said that before. I promise. It might just be a little late. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Kyle.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody watching, and go check his site out, man. And you know, it's a really, I mean, it's something you could use forever. Really, it's fantastic. So, man, really appreciate you lending me your Saturday.
No, thank you. Thank you. And actually, I should add that for anyone wondering, this is my childhood bedroom. I'm at my parents' house right now. So,
Oh,
so
nice.
this is not where Liftvault usually gets made. If in this sparse, oddly decorated room. So it's in a different sparse, oddly decorated room, but not this particular one. So
Well,
um,
I'm in the middle school band room right now, so that makes me feel
yeah,
good.
that looks exactly what I would expect it to look like
Yeah,
with the wooden cubbies and everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We got a
sick.
bunch of broken laptops back there.
This is the glamorous life we lead.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna press do the record here so we
Yeah.
can
Hopefully it recorded.
stop recording. Good. Okay, we're gonna press stop recording. The recording will be saved. All right. Cool.